Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I'll be talking about a very interesting topic and something which we use in our day-to-day lives, and that is how to ace your LinkedIn profile. This is so important, right? I mean, we use LinkedIn every day, and it's really very crucial to have a very strong presence on LinkedIn, to have like a strong profile, because recruiters are looking at you. There are people at top positions who are viewing profiles, so it's always nice to represent yourself very well in the best way possible on LinkedIn, so that people look out for profiles like you, people want to hire you, right? So your profile should be something very empowering, which can attract more people, more recruiters, and that's the whole intention of LinkedIn, right? You want to have more connections, you want to increase your networking, you want to increase your chances of getting a better job. So doing that, you need to you're a brand on LinkedIn, so you need to make yourself a very strong brand. So today we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about few tips on how you can ace your LinkedIn profile, make it look really nice, include the right information and relevant information, concise and beautiful. Okay, so let's get started. Your profile should tell a story about you. So when I open your LinkedIn profile, it should tell me something about your personality. It should tell me something about the kind of person you are, right? That's how it should be. It should not be very generic or very vague. It has to help me understand your personality, the kind of person you are, right? So any kind of recognitions if you've received, you need to mention that on your LinkedIn profile. If you're somebody like me who loves creating videos, who creates websites, or maybe creates has photos, attends conferences, organizes events, make sure you share that on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has that option of where you can share videos from other websites on LinkedIn. So make sure you do that, so that people know that it's, you're not just telling that you create videos, you're actually showing them that, here's the thing, here's what I'm doing. So it's very important to show things with live examples, so that people really so that it's credible and authentic, basically. So make sure you do that, because LinkedIn has that option of where you can share your videos or photos and whatever you want. So make sure you do that. Any workshops you've led, make sure you add that. Any significant achievements you've had, please post that. Like, please post that, right? And quick tips, okay, coming to that. Make sure whenever you're writing your summary or the first liner, make sure it's a first person narrative. It shouldn't be like, when I say first person narrative, it means that I am narrating the story, I'm narrating my own story. It's not somebody else saying that Sumana is doing this. It should be like, I'm doing this. It sounds more authentic, I am a reader, I have strong communication skills. So that's me, rather than somebody else saying it. It should always be a first person narrative. It's more authentic, it's more credible. And if you are putting paragraphs, don't have like long paragraphs. It should be short, concise information. Make sure you use bullet points, because that's easier. Because when a recruiter or somebody looks into your profile, if it's pointers, it's much easier to read it rather than reading an entire paragraph. Like, it gets a little boring, so don't do that. Always use bullet points. And make sure that this settings say that the visibility is to all. Like, you have settings wherein sometimes it goes to a private mode, sometimes it goes to public. So you need to set it, make sure that the visibility settings are such a way that it's applicable to whoever you want the post to be seen. Basically make it public, so that everybody gets to see like what you're doing, and make sure it's not in a private mode unless you want it that way. Okay, Now, coming to a profile photo. So, make sure that you always have a profile photo. Make sure you have a headline. Mention the industry you come from. Okay. And if you have, as I said earlier, so you have to sell yourself as a brand, so you are a brand yourself. So make sure that you stand out, because there are a lot of people out there, everybody who is applying for similar positions as you are. So make sure that you stand out from the rest, so that recruiters interested in your profile than somebody else's profile, so they would choose yours over somebody else's profile. So that's how, make sure that you highlight your profile in such a way that people get attracted and feel that there's something different about your profile. So make sure you do it that way. Make sure you add recommendations from your colleagues or somebody superior, so that it adds value to your profile. And never keep like a blank photo, like no picture. Like, that's a big no no. I've seen people who do that, and that really does not make sense, and that's a big turn off for recruiters as well, because they want to see your picture, they want to see your photo, they want to see you. So profile photo is a must, and the profile picture has to be of high quality. And you better have a neutral background, and the lighting has to be good, so that your face has to be visible. And I wouldn't say you need to put a formal photo, but don't put pictures with your kids or your pets or your friends. Profile pictures meant to be like your picture. Like, it has to be a single photo of yours, and maybe not like just drinking in a party or something. It need not be like that, because it's you it shouldn't be informal. It can be semi-formal and formal. So make sure that you don't have pictures with other people on your profile photo. Like, that's a big no no. Okay. And there's also a feature which LinkedIn recently added, I think sometime last year, and that's the name pronunciation. um it's basically helpful, because some people like to know how to pronounce someone's name. And there'll be sometimes, it's very helpful when it's comes to global recruiting. It's when you recruit people from other countries and stuff like that. It's very helpful. So there's an option of, if you go to settings of your profile, in that, when you edit it, there's an option of name pronunciation. So if I want the right pronunciation of my name, you can add that. It's like a 20-second voice recording, and then you can save it, and then that pops up on your profile, so people can actually know how it sounds like how your name pronunciation sounds like, right? So you can add that to your profile. Then the main profile of yours, you craft a heading, so a standout line, a line which will basically talk about you, which will reflect your personality. So you can use words of your current key role, or maybe you're into program management, so you can talk about program management, program manager, or you can use key industry words, or whichever sector you are in. So that's important. Like, if you're a doctor, you can talk about creating better lives. Or if you're talking about, if you're into CSR, you can talk about building sustainable environment. Or um, you can talk about anything. Like, if you're in a service based industry, you can talk about creating satisfying customers, or creating customer satisfaction, or something which is nice, which can be a 3-4 letter word, but which tells a lot about the kind of work you're doing. So that's really nice. So keep your industry, and always mention your industry which you're working in, and your current location is very important, because when recruiters, like, they look for people, they actually screen people according to the location and according to the position. So make sure you mention your right position and mention your industry, because it's very important for the person who is hiring, right? So always never forget to mention that. Even if you're changing jobs, and you've just moved recently to a new job, make sure you mention your current job. And if you're like just a recent graduate and then you've just got a new job, make sure you add that, your current employer, because that's very, very important when it comes to a hiring perspective. Okay. And some people are out of work and they are looking for a job on LinkedIn, especially during this pandemic season. So LinkedIn has this option of where you can say that you're open to work, wherein people, recruiters can know that you're seriously looking out for jobs. So mention that you have that option on LinkedIn where you can show that you're open to work. And you can also be specific. You can mention the job types you're looking at. You can mention the start date, if you're an immediate joiner, or maybe you can join in 1 to 3 months time, or maybe 3 to 6 months time. You have those options on LinkedIn wherein you can put that. And you can also mention the location, your preferable location of work, job, where you want to work. So you have those options on LinkedIn, and then you can use that, and it really helps people find work. Because I've seen so many people, you will be very surprised to know that how many people are going to reach out to you. Because sometimes people are like, they're so lost, like they lost a job and they're like, it's the end of the world. But then things just turn out to be very surprising when you see so many people reaching out to help you. And yeah, that works on LinkedIn. And I think more than 30 million people have benefited from like this open to work option. I mean, they've applied, I mean, they've just posted that and they've actually got jobs through LinkedIn. And so, yeah, you can always do that. And definitely you're going to land up getting a good job. Yeah. So that's the thing. And there's also this profile summary which you always have. So on the summary page, again, I would say put pointers, limited, concise things. It should be like your profile summary should be like an elevator pitch. It should be like a 30 seconds. So if I'm in the, like, just imagine that you're in the lift with the CEO, and then you just have like 30 seconds till the lift reaches the ground floor from the 17th floor. And then, just hypothetically, I don't know how much time it takes, but yeah, so you just have like 30 seconds, and there's a CEO, you have your elevator pitch ready, you're pitching to him. Just imagine that you just have 30 seconds. So same thing, just apply to your LinkedIn summary. You have very little space, use like minimum words, and then sell yourself. What would you put there? So just imagine that, and then put your elevator pitch. It has to include your key experience, your key skills, your expertise. That definitely has to be mentioned on your summary, because that's what people look at, and they'll know that, okay, fine, you have these skills, and we can sort of work together, and you fit into this position, and it matches with the JD and stuff like that. Usually don't make it very short, like have like 40 plus words minimum, so that it shouldn't be like a one sentence thing, like, okay, I work in a dry cleaning company, and that's my job. So that's very, very vague. So you need to like explain a bit about what you do, and the roles you're working on and stuff like that. Again, summary also has to be a first person narrative. It cannot be any other way. Okay. And because it needs to be authentic, it needs to be credible, so always a first person narrative. Make sure you add rich media possible on your summary. When I say rich media, it means that any kind of videos, any photos, any posts, any conferences which you have attended, any presentations which you've made, which can be made public, you can definitely share it in your summary. And I guarantee you that it adds a lot of high value and high weightage when it comes to hiring. So if you add these posts or videos on your summary, it automatically comes on the featured part So where there's a subheading of featured, and then you find your posts coming and popping in on the featured segment. So yeah, so it's nice. So it's like a complete profile, you know. It's very important to have all of that ready. And when it comes to work experience, make sure you add your latest work experience, because that's very very important. If you add your latest work experience, that definitely gives more views, more people are going to look at you, they'll know what's your, you know, current job. And the description, when you describe your job, please put it in simple words, nothing complicated. Because you know, if you're doing like hardcore coding, but you have some, like a general recruiter, they would not want to get into like complicated stuff. Everything what you put in there has to be in simple terms, okay? And make sure you add video, photo, or presentations if possible on the work experience section. You can either add it in the summary section, or you can add it in the work experience section. Either way it works. I would reco any of these. I think preferably the summary section, if you ask me. Then you also have something called skills. Then add your skills, you know, whatever skills you have, what are your abilities, what are your strengths. Add those skills. What are your expertise? Please add them. Build credibility by adding skills which you have, right? It's very important to add skills which, so suppose you're interested in certain jobs, and make sure you look at those JDs and make sure you add skills which match with those JDs, so that, you know, the recruiters, you have a greater chance of hiring, because the recruiters will see that, okay, the JD matches with, you know, your skills. And that's how it works. That's the basic tip of actually getting into a job. It's basically, you know, you need to know the tricks of how to get those jobs. Okay. Make sure you're endorsed by your colleagues, your friends, your connections, basically. See that they endorse you, and that also increases an opportunity of strengthening your profile. It increases opportunities of recruiters looking at your profile, because they'll be like, you've been endorsed as well for the skill. That means you really have that skill, which means that that's thumbs up for you. So yeah, that's a very important thing to do. Make sure you get recommendations. I mean, records are very very essential in some roles, because it increases credibility. So say you've worked on, so you're applying for a new job, and you've worked on projects in your current company, and then you are applying for a new company, and then you worked on projects with your colleagues or your seniors or supervisors. So make sure you know you go seek out, ask them, request them for giving you a recommendation, wherein they, you know, the recommendation, I would suggest don't follow the templates which are on LinkedIn. Like, ask them to give you a personalized reco that has a more of a personal touch, you know. Like, whenever someone asks me to give a personal recommendation, I never even knew in the first place that there was this templates, but I always give my own recommendation for that person, because I think that gives a sense of personal touch, and it's not very very superficial. So yeah, that's how it is. So I think it's very very important to get recommendations, and explain what projects you all worked in, and make sure that whatever the job you're applying, the role you're applying for, and the JD matches with whatever the person is recommending. Like, maybe you're applying for a position of, say, project manager. Make sure like your reco is something wherein people are talking about your projects you worked on, how you based at it, and set timelines and all of that. Okay, ask them to highlight those exactly, the points. So you can tell the person whom you want reco from, you can tell them like, can you please highlight these points, the project management bit, how I helped you in that project, or how I helped the client. Can you please highlight on those points, so that, you know, when a recruiter sees that, they know that, you know, this has happened. You know, people, the recruiters actually read, if they're really interested and they've screened your profile, actually read each and every word on your profile. So make sure you add everything I say, because it is very very important. Okay, and the last point would be any volunteer experience, if you have, don't underestimate it. Please add that. Don't think that people don't look at all of that. There are a lot of companies, especially these days, like more than 40% of corporates, they really, really pay a lot of attention to volunteer experience and what you've done outside work. That really matters to them. So make sure, if you have like experience in NGO, like some sort of a social service, worked in a vet clinic, mention that. Do gardening, mention that. Helped in Red Cross, mention that. Do not forget to mention your volunteering experience. Yeah, any sort of blood donation camps, anything, please mention it, because that adds. You never know what clicks with the hiring manager or the recruiter. So these are the points, and these are the things which you need for that perfect LinkedIn profile. And make sure you do that. Make sure you network more. Make sure you add more connections. Make sure you get more connections in your LinkedIn profile. Make sure you get the right connections. Just don't keep adding people or reaching out to people. Add people who you think would add value or would help you in your networking on LinkedIn. Okay, so I think that's very important, rather than just adding everyone just to build your network. I think that does not make sense. So adding the right people, networking with the right people is super, super critical. Okay, so let me know how it goes. If you have any questions, please ask me on the comment section. And if you have any other query with respect to LinkedIn profiles, please reach out to me. And yeah, I'll be more than happy to help. Thank you so much and have a nice day. Cheers.